Charles Blakey is a black man in Sag Harbor, New York, living a life frayed at the edges, unemployed, deep in debt, and watching helplessly as the ancestral home that has housed his family for generations teeters on foreclosure. His mother and uncle are gone, the house creaks with memory, and Charles is caught between pride and desperation. Into that trembling existence walks Anniston Bennet, played with unnerving calm by Willem Dafoe, a mysterious white businessman with a European accent and a strange offer: rent your basement for 65 days, and I'll pay enough to wipe out your debts. The proposition seems almost generous, even merciful, and Charles, his options thin, is drawn in despite misgivings. He opens the door, lets Anniston descend into his underground space, and the quiet thriller begins. At first, Bennet's requests are peculiar but tolerable. He asks for certain hours to himself, minimal disturbance, occasional meals delivered. Charles, though uneasy, welcomes the influx of cash. But as Bennet builds a cage in the basement, locking himself inside, Charles becomes his caretaker and prison guard, fetching food, monitoring temperature, tending to Bennet's strange demands. Haunted by guilt, economic humiliation, and ancestral curses, Charles begins to discover that this basement rental is a far darker bargain than he anticipated. With the help of Narcissus Gully, Anna Diop, an antiques dealer who once helped appraise his mother's heirlooms, Charles uncovers African masks, cryptic artifacts, and ancestral histories hidden in the house's broken walls. Bennet goads Charles in conversations about race, identity, and power, pushing him into moments of rage, confession, and existential crisis. Bennet's own past bleeds through: trauma, remade personality, a relationship to violence, and history so tangled that he seems both victim and tormentor. The basement becomes theater, confessional, and battleground, where Charles must confront not just a tenant, but a mirror to all the spectral evils built into the foundation of ownership and race. The mood hovers between reality and allegory, rooms warp, memories fracture, and walls seem to breathe with ancestral weight. Charles's nights are tormented by nightmares, whispers, shadows of his own guilt, and the uneasy feeling that Bennet is placing him under judgment. Each act draws Charles closer to confession. He buried his abusive uncle after neglecting him in sickness, a moment of moral collapse he's never forgiven. Bennet forces Charles to revisit this crime, to speak, to atone, or be destroyed. The power balance shifts. Charles can no longer view Bennet as a passive occupant. Bennet becomes puppet master, and the house his stage. The cages shift, the cages break. The basement is no longer a place of hiding but crucible. Charles demands answers. Bennet offers riddles. In their verbal sparring, Charles challenges Bennet's identity. "You are white as the sun," Bennet once retorts, but finds that Bennet's whiteness is as performative as Charles's blackness is inherited. Their confrontation is both personal and symbolic. Who has the right to hold space, to judge legacy, to bury ghosts? Charles finally walks into the basement for a reckoning and finds Bennet living in squalor, hair matted, mind frayed, posture bent. The man he rented wasn't a businessman at all, but someone unhinged by his own past, someone forced into the basement by his own guilt and self-hatred. As Charles steps forward, Bennet tightens his grip. Delirium, self-punishment, and spiritual unraveling converge. Charles, desperate, reminds Bennet that if he chokes him, they both rot in that dark cell, and the silence of history will devour them. Bennet loosens. In those final moments, Charles confesses his buried crime, his fury, his heritage. Bennet gives him space, spectral forgiveness, or defeat. Films end in ambiguity. In the final shot, Charles reads Frantz Fanon's The Wretched of the Earth, a symbolic echo of liberation and decolonial reckoning. The house stands bruised, Bennet's enigma unresolved, but Charles, shaken, haunted, changed, stands in the light, not free, but awakened to the stories that built him. The Man in My Basement is a psychological, symbolic journey of race, guilt, legacy, and the horror of letting dark pasts dwell beneath the floorboards. So, if you want to watch this kind of short movie explanation videos, don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to never miss an upload of latest videos. Take care, see you next time.